In 1970, Richard Nixon signs the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organization Act to take down the mafia. They couldn't convict the mafia of these cases, so they'd say, oh, here's something we can do. We can create a crime. And now prosecutors just take a loose group of people and say they were in organized crime, whether or not you're trying to take down a rapper or you try to take down folks that are involved in politics. It's all the same. Their training manual says RICO charges are considered easier to prove in court. Everything is about making their job easier while people are dying.
No rational. I'm talking about blood, like
that shit gonna shake.
Real family though.
You got that?
Real members only.
Get out that jam and give him 50, he ain't gotta ask again, bro. Flat. Fact?
Jam, get out that jam, I give him 50, ain't gotta ask again.
Again. I ain't gonna lie, this shit like a whole game change. I ain't gonna lie, this shit like back in the day. Oh, my. Oh, dang. Like back in the day. Look, he's
Give me the check on your man. I heard you got here to this end.
yeah. I ain't gonna lie, man.
That for my baby. That's really how y'all hold y'all babies, ain't it? I gotta hold my money like this. It's too much. Crazy though. Motherfucker be sitting up there doing all this, sneak this and the internet games and all this. Up some money, do something. Like, we winning, bro. I can do it. Whatever it is I want to do, I can do it. Just buy what I want, do what I want. Y'all can't do that, bro. Goof.
Bro got out what?
You know that
How many you did now?
How many years I did it now?
Yeah. That's your last bit. 12?
12.
That boy popped out 12 years.
Yeah.
So much money. We really just getting in order to just figure out the lanes, man, boy.
This shit feels so good, man. 2 lawyers, man.
I can tell them about the building you got.
Everything.
Man, it's close.
Yo, what it is, people, we is back. Never down, keep it G News. And there y'all, this video is to dispel the lies, the rumors, the truth about Lil Durk case. You know, because Lil Durk court case is getting closer to trial. But in the preliminary stages, you know, the pre-trial phase, yo, there's been a lot of lies told on this internet. Now, I don't know if people doing it intentionally. I don't know if people are being misled. I don't know if they're doing it for views, likes, or comments. But no matter what they're doing it for, especially if it's intentional, yo, it is disgusting. It's disgusting. I just watched an interview with Trenches News on Vlad TV. I just watched another video with DJ Academics sharing Vlad TV and Trenches News interview. And there is no truth being told.
What's up, Vlad? What's going on, man?
Well, we have a lot to talk about, but you know what we're starting with, of course.
My favorite people, huh?
Yeah, the Lil Durk murder for hire case, and you're wearing a Vonnie Did It sweatshirt right now.
Yes, sir. He did it, man.
And when he had his hearing recently, the only person that showed up was his girl, India.
Yeah, it gets like that, Vlad. That's how it gets, man. That's why I be telling the youth. It gets lonely, man, when it's dark.
And talk about what's happening right now in the case. So I guess there's multiple witnesses that are saying that Durk had $1 million bounty.
Yep.
Okay, explain that.
So in a first paperwork, it never said about a bounty at first. It was just saying a murder for hire. So it was a PW who said that Durk had $600,000 for Old Block. So they was riding around Old Block exposed to kill Money Duke and another guy.
9 witnesses that are gonna take the stand and say that Durk was the reason why this murder happened.
Yep.
Okay, now you talked about there's 6 sealed documents that are going to prove, according to the feds, that Durk actually directed the killings?
Yep, it's in the paperwork that just dropped. It just dropped like 4 days ago. And it says that it's 6 sealed documents that would prove that Durk directed the murder, and he was aware.
Okay, so let's take it back to your hoodie. Vonnie did it. Now, you made a video about OTF Vonnie. Tell me exactly what Vonnie's role is right now in the big picture.
In the big picture, Vonnie is the mastermind. He brought the guns. He brought the cars. He paid 2 of the people off. He was the mastermind. He the mastermind that's finna try to get 20 years or whatever for telling, 25 years for telling on Lil Durk and the rest of them.
Right. You're saying that the feds are offering him a 300-month plea deal.
Yeah, according to him.
According to him?
Yeah, according to him. He had, he broke down some text messages that he sent to his dad, and his dad ended up sending to me, and I ended up putting it out. He been planning on flipping since November, since they got locked up. I think they got locked up in October, and them text messages was from like November 11th. So from that time to November, he already planned on flipping. I wouldn't say day one, but he one of the people that been around through everything. So he knows a lot. And he was in a car with Didi, the Fed saying that he was in a car. They never hopped out. They were stalking in the car. So he connects everybody. When the feds talk to him, Vlad, you gotta explain to the feds, like, when you making a deal, who did you get the guns from? So now you gotta tell everybody who gave the guns from. That knock out the shooters. Who are you in the car with? I was in the car with Didi. That seals Didi faith. Who was you on the airplane with, and did he know? That's Durk. He connect everybody. Vonnie is connected with everybody to seal everybody faith.
Yo, for some reason, I guess, because Trenches News got a close proximity to the feds, people bring him on their platform and ask him about the Durk case when it's obvious that he is biased when it comes down to Durk. The man been screaming for Durk arrest for 2 years. Maybe 2 years before he actually even got indicted. And a lot of the things that come from Trenches News isn't true. And let's start with the first one. OTF Vonnie snitching. There is absolutely no proof that OTF Vonnie is cooperating. Even if you was to take the messages that he sent his father as proof, the father that I call his cousin, because should no father be moving like this? Should no father be operating against his son? So I don't call him his father. But even if you take the messages as true, the father said, who I call his cousin, said that after he told Vonnie to tell, Vonnie cut communications with him.
I want to speak on that. All right, now look, now playing out and cooperating, they saying it's 2 different things. They saying that it is, but playing out, you got to tell what everybody did. You can't just tell your role in the case. I've been to the feds before. You got to tell everybody's role, and like I told him in that text message, everybody gonna have to plea, because guess what? Now you gonna have to testify against Brown Eyes. He did this, because you saying what your role. I went and bought the guns. I went to gas ski mask to this person. I gave it. You got to tell your role in it. But if everybody else don't cooperate, then now you got to testify against them. That's why I told him in the text message, everybody gonna have to plea out. You understand what I'm saying? Right. That's what got to happen. Everybody got to plea. If he the only one that plea out, then that means he got to testify against everybody else and say what their role was in the crime. You understand what I'm saying? Because I ain't pleading out, I'm going to trial. But he decided to take a plea. He can't say, well, I'm not telling on Brown Eyes, or I'm not telling on this person, or I'm not telling. Okay, now we're taking your plea back. Now you go to trial with everybody else.
So that lets you know that Vonnie wasn't interested in testifying, interested in telling. Then the paperwork that came out a couple days ago that we read, check that video out, it detailed that the feds don't have this evidence or this smoking gun that the internet and the feds is trying to get you to believe. They don't have no proof that a bounty was offered, no proof that a bounty was paid by any so-called witness or cooperator or co-conspirator. Nobody has admitted that they received payment. Nobody has admitted that it was even a hint that payment would be given. You got one person that we know of alleging that he felt pressured. And how he felt pressured, go to the last video where I explained it. He basically felt pressured because of, and this is not even his words, this is the federal government's theory. of opportunity, you know. If he didn't participate in this crime, that he would have lost certain opportunities or wouldn't have got certain opportunities like a feature or a video or a song. But Jam didn't even say this. And Jam is the one that jump-started this whole investigation. Jam got arrested, caught a gun case, and in order to get out his gun case, he told on Durk. And this is why you got to be careful, yo, when you're dealing with guys like Jam. You know, you can't buy friends. Yo, and some of these people will be around you, yo, and can't stand you. Accept everything that come along with you. Any gift that you give them, they're taking a smile, but in the back of their mind, they're really angry. They're really upset. They really wish they could be in your position. And I think that's what Jam was. I think that's what Jam is. Now you got Jam posting all these Instagram stories where he denouncing the streets, he going through his life, he's saying fuck Durk. This is all a telltale sign of a person that never really cared about Durk, ain't never liked Durk. He just was there for the good times. But the minute he went down, you know, because he just did 12 years, got caught up, went down again. More than likely on that gun case, he might have been facing 15. And he couldn't take his lick. So he decided to sink the ship because he was sinking. And yo, that is not respected. That is goofy. I don't like nothing about it. And Jam is not the only person that moves like this. Yo, it is a lot of Jams in these neighborhoods. You know, a lot of guys will be around you for the beneficiary reasons, yo, but really can't stand you. Now you got Durk, who gave Jam $50,000, said he bought him a building, tried to set him up for success. He go to jail on his own. Jam, he goes to jail on his own and told on everybody or lied on everybody, because even when it come down to his testimony, y'all, you know, people say, well, if your co-defendant telling, you know, it's hard to beat those cases. It's true. That is true. But you always got to factor in, yo, what was his first initial statement? Like Drew Finland is doing now with the paperwork he just released. He's trying to find out what was the original theory that the federal government gave to the grand jury in order for Durk to get indicted. You know, because you can't just change the story as you see fit. You know, that's a telltale sign of a liar. And in a prosecution case, that's a telltale sign of people that really don't have a case. We watched that in Y.W. Melly trial. That's why it was hard for the prosecution to secure an indictment on Y.W. Melly. They didn't have a theory. They didn't have a motive. You know, it's going to be hard to convince a jury of motive when you got 17 different motives. One minute it's because of sack chaser, and next minute he supposed to stole money. Next minute, like, yo, you have to have one motive, and you got to relay that motive. You got to paint the picture of that motive so vividly to the jury that indictment or conviction is inevitable. And they failed at that. And that's what it looks like going on in Durk case. They don't have no theory. They have a motive. You know, the motive was get back, but there's no proof that any conversations was had that would lead to people thinking that they had to, you know, commit this crime on behalf of Durk. They don't have any evidence. That's why they're trying to produce irrelevant rap lyrics. They're trying to produce rap lyrics where Durk is just talking about dropping bags on anybody, nobody specific. Just dropping bags in songs. But it's a lot of rappers that talk about spending money and dropping bags. But the federal government is trying to use Durk lyrics against them in order to make their case clearer. Because right now it's foggy. Right now they don't have no real, you know, they're still trying to figure out how to go about this. And we almost a year in. And you still have to factor in the witnesses. And what are they going to say? Yo, all witnesses not credible, y'all. We just saying one of the most uncredible witnesses get on the stand and put on the whole show. And that was why it's so woody. And I think Jam, if he's the star witness, who I believe he is, it's going to be something similar. And being as though this case didn't start until Jam started telling, when you factor in this narrative or this story that they went into the store, they bought ski masks, and they bought that. I don't think they have any video of that stuff, y'all. I don't think they have any video of that. You know, a lot of these stores and companies, their tape roll over. You know, everybody don't have tape that's going to last a whole year. It might roll over every 3 months or every 2 months. So you lose that old footage. And also the narrative of a wire, you know, OTF January wire, I don't think that's true either. I don't think that's true. I think we're getting closer to trial. It's disgusting what's going on. I'm saying people putting out paperwork and they're not telling the whole story, talking about it's a witness and Durk case that was involved, that was in the music video, but they're not telling it in detail. You know, the defense filed that motion. And what the defense was saying was the federal government is trying to use the fact that Durk did songs with people or had verses with people or videos with people, and they trying to make that as a form of payment, even though nobody involved in the case said that. And if OTF Vonnie was telling, you know, being as though they say his alleged role was so pivotal, I think they would have that information. So this narrative that Trenches News and others is pushing, that OTF Vonnie is telling, is a lie, because in the paperwork, because Durk does have a discovery, he do know who's testifying on him. It detailed that they don't have no proof that Durk dropped any money. And I think if Vonnie knew that, if Vonnie was telling, he would know that information. He would be able to relay that information. And to date, we don't have none of that information. And the reason why the case is getting postponed, because the complexity, that's what they say, right? But it's really that the federal government not ready. They're not ready. The federal government can deny, the federal government is the people that's asking for more time. Now, Didi and Brown Eyes and Flocka and the rest of them guys are signing on to it because their defense team might feel like they need more time too, but that doesn't mean that they're telling. Y'all got to remember, y'all, there's less evidence on Durk than anybody else in the case. So, of course, he's going to be like, let's fight. I'm ready to go now, because they don't really have anything on him. They got some things on these other people. So when the federal government say they need more time, they be like, all right, we need more time too. But that don't mean that they snitching. That don't mean that they testifying on Durk, because based off the paperwork we got, ain't none of them guys that got arrested with Durk is testifying. None of them. And I hope this cleared things up, because like I said, it's just been so many lies, OTF Vonnie with the protective order. That was just a protective order on a discovery, basically saying that this discovery packet, or this discovery, basically a packet, because that's normally what it is, have to be viewed in the presence of your attorney, and it can't be taken back into the jail. It's just a way to protect the witnesses, the people that's cooperating and testifying. It's not OTF Vonnie on PC. You understand? It's just so many lies being told. Didi filed a motion to separate, because the feds is trying, this is what Durk is fighting now. The feds is trying to introduce irrelevant text messages into the equation that are used specifically against Durk. So Didi, his lawyer is saying, well, this can prejudice my client, because my client is not even in none of these text messages. So y'all got to remember, y'all, they all being tried together. So if you introduce this evidence that's strictly pertaining to Durk, and the jury find this evidence credible and convict based off of this evidence, but they might convict them all. And this is another good, and I think this is a smart tactic on Didi's attorney and for Durk, because the feds don't want the cases to be separate. Because now you got a fraction, you got to divvy up the evidence. Now, evidence that you got against this person, you're not going to be able to use in this trial, because it's a separate trial. It's a separate case at that point. You get a whole different case number. You feel me? So, if Didi want his case severed from the rest of the guys because of this text messages that the feds is alleging incriminate Durk, and they really don't. The text message is really irrelevant. It has nothing to do with the murder of Quando Rondo cousin. But if they was to grant this separation, that would help Durk, because the feds don't want the case separated. So they'd be more inclined to say, you know what? Fuck it. All they got. Prime example. Give you a better example. Stephon Mack trial. This is almost the exact same type situation. One of the guys in the murder, Stephon Mack, I think AJ, talked to a federal informant. A federal informant in the jail cell, which prompted the other guy to get his case separated. In his case, he won. He won the separation because AJ wasn't going to testify to these details. So at that point, it's going to prejudice the case because you're going to have this witness who got information from AJ, this federal informant, they got information from AJ, but AJ isn't going to be able to be cross-examined on this information because he's not telling. And the other guy, y'all know their names. I ain't really sure his name. The fat dude with the little teeny bush. He got his case severed because of that. And the judge granted it to him. But now, guess what, y'all? The federal government said, look, we're not even going to use this so-called admission that he did in federal custody. So now they're in a situation where the cases are still severed, and this evidence that they thought was groundbreaking, that basically AJ admitted to these crimes, he even mentioned Lil Durk involved in this, is not even going to be used at trial. So now you got two separate cases, and they fucked up. They dropped the ball trying to be slick. And that's similar, and that could be the same type of situation with Durk and Didi, and the reason why Didi won his case severed, not because Didi telling. But let me know how y'all feel about this in the comments. It's another day of KBG News.
I love bro for that. Can't. This shit forever.